Louisiana is a state in the deep south and south-central regions of the United States. It is bordered by Texas to the west, Arkansas to the north, and Mississippi to the east. Of the 50 U.S. states, it ranks 31st in area and 25th in population, with roughly 4.6 million residents. Reflecting its French heritage, Louisiana is the only U.S. state with political subdivisions termed parishes, which are equivalent to counties, making it one of only two U.S. states not subdivided into counties, the other being Alaska and its boroughs. Baton Rouge is the state's capital, and New Orleans, a French Louisiana region, is its most populous city with a population of about 363,000 people. Louisiana has a coastline with the Gulf of Mexico to the south. A large part of its eastern boundary is demarcated by the Mississippi River, and the mouth of the Mississippi or Delta defines much of its lower topography. Much of Louisiana's lands were formed from sediment washed down the Mississippi River, leaving enormous deltas and vast areas of coastal marsh and swamp. These contain a rich southern biota, including birds such as ibises and egrets, many species of tree frogs such as the state-recognized American green tree frog, and fish such as sturgeon and paddlefish. More elevated areas, particularly in the north, contain a wide variety of ecosystems such as tall grass prairie, longleaf pine forest and wet savannas. These support an exceptionally large number of plant species, including many species of terrestrial orchids and carnivorous plants. Over half the state is forested. Louisiana is situated at the confluence of the Mississippi River system and the Gulf of Mexico. Its location and biodiversity attracted various indigenous groups thousands of years before Europeans arrived in the 17th century. Louisiana has 18 Native American tribes, the most of any southern state, of which 4 are federally recognized and 10 are state recognized. The French claimed the territory in 1682, and it became the political, commercial, and population center of the larger colony of New France. From 1762 to 1801 Louisiana was under Spanish rule, briefly returning to French rule before being sold by Napoleon to the U.S. in 1803. It was admitted to the Union in 1812 as the 18th state. Following statehood, Louisiana saw an influx of settlers from the eastern U.S. as well as immigrants from the West Indies, Germany, and Ireland. It experienced an agricultural boom, particularly in cotton and sugarcane, which were cultivated primarily by slaves from Africa. As a slave state, Louisiana was one of the original 7 members of the Confederate States of America during the American Civil War. Louisiana's unique French heritage is reflected in its toponyms, dialects, culture, demographics, and legal system. Relative to the rest of the southern U.S., Louisiana is multilingual and multicultural, reflecting an admixture of Louisiana French, Cajun, Creole, Spanish, French Canadian, Acadian, Saint-Domingue Creole, Native American, and West African cultures, generally the descendants of slaves stolen in the 18th century. More recent migrants include Filipinos and Vietnamese. In the post-Civil War environment, Anglo-Americans increased the pressure for Anglicization, and in 1921, English was shortly made the sole language of instruction in Louisiana schools before a policy of multilingualism was revived in 1974. English in Louisiana has a wide variety of different subdialects, including Cajun English, New Orleans English, and other variants of Southern American English. Based on national averages, Louisiana frequently ranks low among U.S. states in terms of health, education, and development, with high rates of poverty and homicide. In 2018, Louisiana was ranked as the least healthy state in the country, with high levels of drug-related deaths. It also has had the highest homicide rate in the United States since at least the 1990s. Louisiana is a state in the southern United States. It is bordered by Arkansas to the north, Mississippi to the east, and Texas to the west. The Gulf of Mexico lies to the south. Louisiana's climate is subtropical because of its location on the Gulf of Mexico. The capital of Louisiana is Baton Rouge. It is located in the southeast central part of the state, at the head of deep water navigation on the Mississippi River. Baton Rouge became the state capital in 1849. The city's growth accelerated in 1909 with the arrival of the Standard Oil Company, and it grew more after World War II with the expansion of petrochemical industries. Today, Baton Rouge is home to Louisiana State University, 1,860, and Southern University, 1,880. The city is known for its cultural institutions, including museums, galleries, orchestras, and theaters. Louisiana features three main geographical regions: lowlands, terraces, and hills. The lowlands include coastal marshes and the Mississippi floodplain, known for natural levees and moderate relief. The terraces comprise the Florida parishes and southwestern prairies. Hills flank the Red River Valley, with Driscoll Mountain as the state's highest point at 535 feet, 163 meters. The state is known for its rich alluvial soils deposited by rivers and bayous. Louisiana also has numerous bayous, which are slow-moving marshy waterways, and the state's beachless coast is eroding at a rate of about 24 square miles, 62 square km, per year. Louisiana's cultural landscape is a vibrant mix of French, Spanish, African American, and Native American influences. Louisiana boasts a vibrant cultural heritage evident in its cuisine and festivals. New Orleans is known for Mardi Gras, a series of parades and balls that attracts national attention. The celebration, also known as Fat Tuesday, occurs before Ash Wednesday. Creole cuisine blends French, Spanish, African American, and Native American influences. A signature dish is gumbo, a soup stew that combines African, American Indian, and European elements. It often includes okra, which comes from a Bantu word. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 significantly shaped Louisiana's history and growth. The United States acquired the Louisiana Territory from France for less than 3 cents per acre, a total of $27,267,622, nearly doubling the country's land area. This acquisition included New Orleans and much of present-day Louisiana, as well as most of the territory between the Mississippi River and the Rocky Mountains. The purchase spurred westward expansion and strengthened the country. In 1812, Louisiana joined the Union as the 18th state. The state's economy, initially based on agriculture, saw cotton and sugarcane production expand, cultivated primarily by enslaved people. The Louisiana Purchase signified the acquisition of rights to land occupied by Native American peoples, resulting in inequitable compensation for cessions of land. Louisiana is one of the most culturally distinctive and historically significant states in the United States. Located in the southern region of the country along the Gulf of Mexico, Louisiana is widely recognized for its unique combination of cultures, traditions, languages, music, cuisine, and historical experiences. Unlike many American states that developed under primarily English influence, Louisiana was shaped by French and Spanish colonial rule, African traditions brought through slavery, Native American heritage, and Caribbean cultural influences. This blending of civilizations created a society unlike any other in North America. Louisiana's identity is deeply connected to celebration, storytelling, resilience, spirituality, and artistic expression, making the state a symbol of cultural diversity and historical richness. The state capital is Baton Rouge, while the largest and most internationally recognized city is New Orleans. Louisiana covers more than 50,000 square miles and shares borders with Texas, Arkansas, and Mississippi. To the south lies the Gulf of Mexico, which has historically influenced the state's economy, climate, and way of life. The Mississippi River, one of the world's most important waterways, flows through Louisiana and serves as a central feature of its geography and economic development. The river has shaped settlement patterns, trade routes, agriculture, and transportation for centuries, helping Louisiana become a major center of commerce and cultural exchange. Long before European explorers arrived, the region now known as Louisiana was inhabited by Native American peoples who established communities throughout the forests, river valleys, and wetlands. Tribes such as the Choctaw, Homa, Chitimacha, and Natchez adapted to the environment and developed sophisticated social and economic systems. They depended on fishing, hunting, farming, and trade while maintaining strong spiritual and cultural traditions connected to the land. These indigenous groups played an important role in shaping the region's early history and interacted with European settlers during the colonial period. European involvement in Louisiana began during the 17th century when French explorers traveled through the Mississippi River basin and claimed the territory for France. The region was named after King Louis XIV, becoming part of the French colonial empire in North America. French settlers established trading posts, plantations, and urban centers that introduced European customs, architecture, language, and religion to the region. French influence remains deeply embedded in Louisiana's identity today, especially through language, cuisine, legal traditions, and cultural practices. During the 18th century, Louisiana experienced shifts in colonial control between France and Spain. Spanish authorities governed the territory for several decades and influenced the development of architecture, law, and administration. The combination of French and Spanish colonial traditions gave Louisiana a unique legal system based partly on civil law rather than the English common law system used in most American states. This legal distinction remains one of Louisiana's most unusual characteristics within the United States. In 1803, the United States acquired Louisiana through the historic Louisiana Purchase. This massive land transaction between France and the United States doubled the size of the young American nation and opened vast territories for expansion. Louisiana itself became strategically important because of its location near the mouth of the Mississippi River and its role in trade and transportation. The acquisition also marked the beginning of greater American political and economic influence in the region. Throughout the 19th century, agriculture became the foundation of Louisiana's economy. Fertile lands along the Mississippi River supported large plantations producing sugarcane, cotton, rice, and tobacco. Plantation owners accumulated great wealth, particularly in southern Louisiana, where enslaved Africans provided labor under brutal conditions. Slavery played a central role in the state's economic success during this period, shaping social structures and contributing to racial inequality that would continue long after emancipation. At the same time, enslaved Africans brought cultural traditions that profoundly influenced Louisiana society. African rhythms, spiritual beliefs, cooking techniques, oral storytelling, and artistic expressions blended with European and Caribbean influences to create distinctive forms of culture. Creole culture emerged from this interaction, representing a mixture of French, Spanish, African, Caribbean, and Native American heritage. Creole identity became closely associated with New Orleans and surrounding regions, contributing to the state's multicultural atmosphere. Another major cultural group in Louisiana was the Cajuns, descendants of French-speaking Acadian settlers expelled from Canada during the 18th century. These settlers established communities in southern Louisiana's rural bayou regions and developed a distinctive culture centered on family, music, food, and adaptation to the environment. Cajun traditions remain among the most celebrated aspects of Louisiana's identity today. The outbreak of the American Civil War dramatically affected Louisiana. As part of the Confederate States, Louisiana experienced military occupation, economic destruction, and political instability during and after the war. Reconstruction brought efforts to rebuild society and extend rights to formerly enslaved people, but racial discrimination and segregation continued for decades. African Americans faced severe social and economic barriers despite their significant contributions to Louisiana's culture and economy. Despite these struggles, Louisiana became internationally known for its artistic and cultural achievements, especially in music. New Orleans is widely regarded as the birthplace of jazz, one of the most influential musical genres in history. Jazz emerged during the late 19th and early 20th centuries through the blending of African rhythms, blues traditions, brass band music, and European musical structures. Legendary musicians such as Louis Armstrong helped spread jazz across the world, making Louisiana a global center of musical innovation. Louisiana also produced other important musical traditions, including blues, gospel, Zydeco, and Cajun music. Zydeco developed within Creole communities and combined African rhythms with accordion-based dance music. Cajun music reflected French folk influences and often focused on themes of family, hardship, and celebration. Music became deeply woven into daily life in Louisiana, serving not only as entertainment but also as a form of cultural preservation and community identity. Festivals and celebrations play a central role in Louisiana society. The most famous event is Mardi Gras, a vibrant carnival season marked by parades, costumes, music, dancing, and public gatherings. Mardi Gras reflects both European carnival traditions and local cultural creativity. In New Orleans, elaborate parades organized by social groups known as crews attract millions of visitors each year. Smaller communities throughout Louisiana also celebrate Mardi Gras with unique local customs, preserving regional traditions passed down across generations. Cuisine is another defining feature of Louisiana culture. Louisiana food is celebrated worldwide for its rich flavors and multicultural origins. Creole cuisine combines French, Spanish, African, and Caribbean influences, often featuring seafood, rice, tomatoes, and complex sauces. Cajun cuisine is associated with rustic cooking styles and bold seasonings developed in rural communities. Famous dishes include gumbo, jambalaya, crawfish etouffee, shrimp and grits, red beans and rice, po' boy sandwiches, and beignets. Seafood occupies an especially important place in Louisiana cuisine because of the state's coastal environment and extensive waterways. Shrimp, oysters, crawfish, and crabs support local industries and culinary traditions. Crawfish boils are major social events where families and friends gather outdoors to cook and share food. Cooking traditions emphasize hospitality, communal dining, and celebration, reinforcing Louisiana's strong sense of community. The geography of Louisiana contributes significantly to its identity and economy. The state contains wetlands, swamps, bayous, forests, and river plains that support diverse ecosystems and wildlife. The Mississippi River Delta creates fertile agricultural lands and provides critical habitats for fish and bird species. However, Louisiana's low-lying coastal geography also makes it highly vulnerable to hurricanes, flooding, and erosion. Natural disasters have repeatedly shaped Louisiana's history. The most devastating modern example was Hurricane Katrina, which caused catastrophic flooding in New Orleans and surrounding areas after levee systems failed. Thousands of people lost their lives or were displaced, and the disaster exposed major social and economic inequalities. Recovery efforts lasted for many years and prompted debates about infrastructure, poverty, emergency response, and environmental policy. Environmental concerns remain central to Louisiana's future. Coastal erosion threatens wetlands and communities throughout the Gulf Coast region. Rising sea levels, canal construction, industrial development, and reduced sediment flow contribute to land loss at alarming rates. Wetlands are essential because they protect communities from storms, support fisheries, and preserve biodiversity. Restoration and conservation projects aim to strengthen coastal resilience and prevent further environmental damage. Economically, Louisiana depends on a combination of industries including energy production, shipping, agriculture, fishing, tourism, and manufacturing. Oil and natural gas extraction transformed the state during the 20th century, making Louisiana one of America's leading energy producers. Offshore drilling operations in the Gulf of Mexico support refineries and petrochemical industries concentrated along the Mississippi River corridor. Shipping and trade are equally important because Louisiana's ports connect inland North America to international markets. The Port of South Louisiana and the Port of New Orleans rank among the busiest ports in the world. Grain, petroleum, chemicals, steel, and manufactured products move through these transportation networks, making Louisiana a key center of global commerce. Tourism contributes billions of dollars annually to the state economy. Visitors from around the world travel to Louisiana to experience its music, festivals, cuisine, architecture, and historic landmarks. New Orleans serves as the center of Louisiana tourism with attractions such as the French Quarter, Jackson Square, jazz clubs, riverboats, and historic cemeteries. Cultural tourism also extends into Cajun and Creole regions where visitors explore local festivals, swamp tours, and historical plantations. Education plays an important role in Louisiana's development and modernization. Universities and colleges support research, workforce training, cultural preservation, and scientific advancement. Louisiana State University is among the state's most prominent institutions and contributes significantly to agriculture, engineering, environmental science, athletics, and healthcare research. Educational reform remains important as Louisiana works to address inequality and prepare younger generations for economic change. Religion has historically influenced Louisiana's social and cultural life. Catholicism remains particularly significant because of French and Spanish colonial heritage. Catholic churches, festivals, and traditions are common throughout southern Louisiana. Protestant Christianity is also widespread, especially in northern regions. African spiritual traditions and Caribbean influences contributed to practices such as Louisiana voodoo, particularly in New Orleans. Spirituality often blends formal religious traditions with local customs, music, and communal celebrations. Architecture in Louisiana reflects the state's multicultural heritage and environmental adaptation. The French Quarter of New Orleans contains French and Spanish colonial buildings characterized by balconies, courtyards, and decorative ironwork. Plantation homes along the Mississippi River showcase grand antebellum architecture while also serving as reminders of slavery and inequality. Rural Cajun cottages and Creole homes were designed to withstand humid climates and flooding through elevated foundations and wide porches. Literature and storytelling also occupy an important place in Louisiana culture. Writers frequently explore themes of identity, memory, race, spirituality, and social transformation. Folklore remains deeply connected to local traditions, especially stories involving bayous, ghosts, pirates, and supernatural events. These narratives contribute to Louisiana's mysterious and imaginative reputation. Sports form another important aspect of social life. American football is especially popular, with strong support for school, college, and professional teams. New Orleans Saints inspire passionate loyalty across the state. Sporting events often become major social gatherings that reinforce community identity and regional pride. Modern Louisiana continues to evolve while preserving its historical roots. Urban development, technology, immigration, and globalization influence lifestyles and economic structures. New immigrant communities from Latin America, Asia, and Africa contribute additional diversity to Louisiana's society. Technology industries, healthcare, film production, and renewable energy projects are becoming increasingly important parts of the economy. At the same time, Louisiana continues to face social challenges related to poverty, healthcare access, crime, and educational inequality. Many rural communities and urban neighborhoods experience limited economic opportunities linked to historical patterns of racial and economic inequality. Public policy debates focus on infrastructure improvement, social reform, disaster preparedness, and economic diversification. Environmental sustainability remains one of the greatest challenges for Louisiana's future. Hurricanes, climate change, and coastal erosion threaten communities, ecosystems, and industries. Scientists warn that significant portions of coastal Louisiana could disappear if current trends continue. Restoration programs seek to rebuild wetlands, strengthen levees, and improve resilience against future storms. The resilience of Louisiana's people stands out throughout the state's history. Residents have repeatedly endured war, economic hardship, segregation, natural disasters, and environmental threats while maintaining strong cultural traditions and community spirit. Recovery efforts following Hurricane Katrina demonstrated both the vulnerabilities and strengths of Louisiana society. Communities work together to rebuild homes, preserve traditions, and support displaced residents despite enormous challenges. Young people in Louisiana increasingly participate in cultural preservation, entrepreneurship, environmental activism, and artistic innovation. Efforts to preserve Cajun French, Creole heritage, traditional music, and local cuisine continue through educational programs and community organizations. Younger generations seek to honor Louisiana's past while adapting to contemporary economic and technological realities. Louisiana today represents a powerful example of cultural diversity, resilience, and creativity. Its music, cuisine, festivals, architecture, landscapes, and traditions continue to influence global culture. From jazz clubs in New Orleans to quiet bayous in rural parishes, Louisiana remains deeply connected to its historical roots while adapting to modern challenges. In conclusion, Louisiana is far more than a geographic region within the United States. It is a living cultural landscape shaped by centuries of migration, colonization, conflict, adaptation, and artistic expression. French, Spanish, African, Native American, and Caribbean influences combine to create one of the most distinctive societies in North America. Louisiana's history includes periods of wealth and suffering, celebration and tragedy, innovation and struggle. Despite social inequality, environmental threats, and historical hardships, Louisiana has maintained a strong identity rooted in community, creativity, and resilience. The state's people transformed diverse cultural influences into globally recognized traditions in music, food, festivals, and art. Louisiana's contributions to jazz, cuisine, literature, architecture, and cultural celebration continue to shape international perceptions of American culture. Modern Louisiana faces important questions about environmental sustainability, economic modernization, social equality, and cultural preservation. Yet the state's enduring spirit remains visible in its festivals, neighborhoods, music halls, churches, kitchens, and communities. Louisiana continues to inspire people around the world through its extraordinary ability to preserve tradition while adapting to change. Ultimately, Louisiana represents the complexity and diversity of the American experience itself. It reflects the power of cultural exchange, the consequences of historical conflict, and the resilience of communities facing adversity. Through its people, traditions, landscapes, and history, Louisiana remains one of the most fascinating and influential states in the United States and a symbol of human creativity, endurance, and cultural richness. Thank you for watching this video.